Good afternoon, and in today's video we're going to talk about everything that I've read in 2025, the good, the bad and the ugly. I'm going to dive straight into it. 2025 for me was a good reading year. My average rating for books this year was 4.2, which basically I'm just dishing out 5 stars for fun. I'm just like, I enjoyed it, have a 5-star, take them all. 62 books I read, which for me, I don't really have reading goals, but on Fable, where I put my reviews and stuff, it counts them for me. So 62. One thing that surprised me was that through the year, I seem to be reading less and less and less. But I would also say that through the year, I've started to enjoy books more towards the end of the year. And I can only put that down to the fact that I'm not rushing through books. I'm taking my time. I'm just picking them up when I fancy it rather than just reading because I want to fit in with crowd. And I think that's reflected on some of my feelings that I've had towards books at the end of the year that I've really enjoyed. See what the split is. I don't know if there's any way I can find out split on this app for genres and stuff like that. I'm almost certain that there is. Here we go. So fantasy is my preferred genre this year by the looks of it. I've read 31 fantasy books, 22 thrillers, 12 mystery, 11 sci-fi and 10 general fiction. So a bit of a mishmash. My most read author this year is Joe Abercrombie, then followed by Stephen King, and I've read 2 books of loads of other authors. So that is 2025 for me in a nutshell. I probably will read another 1 or 2 books before the end of the year, but I just finished work today. I thought I'll get this done now while I've got time because I can't guarantee I'll have time towards the end of the year to do it. So there we go. Let me just have a quick sip of my cuppa and then we will dive into the books that I did and didn't enjoy this year. Right, let's start with the books that disappointed first. Now, before I get into the books that disappointed, I want to remind you that reading is subjective. I know that some people are quite easily influenced and can be put off by content creators saying that they didn't enjoy certain books. My mood plays a large part in whether I enjoy a book or not. My mental health plays a massive part in whether I've enjoyed a book or not. And there have been books in the past that I've read that are DNF'd because my mental health just wasn't good. And then when I came back, I absolutely adored them. So just bear that in mind when I talk to you about these books that I didn't enjoy. The first book that I DNF'd, now I've DNF'd more than these 4, but I want to talk to you about these 4 because these were the 4 that I remember going into really expecting big things, and they just didn't deliver for me at the time. So the first one was Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I think one of the reasons I expected massive things from that book is just because of the hype it gets online. People that love sci-fi often say that's the best sci-fi book they've ever read. If you look on Reddit, everyone loves it. And I just expected humongous things from it. Now, I just didn't enjoy it. I DNF'd it after the second story. It's actually set up as 5 separate short stories that follow these people who are going on to Hyperion to basically save civilization. In the first 2 stories, the first one followed, I think it was a priest who met this native group of people from Hyperion, and it was all just a bit worshipy and odd. I didn't really enjoy that much, but I do remember enjoying it more than the second story, which followed, I don't know, it felt like an Ender's Game. It was this kind of VR battle weird thing with these horny aliens and some odd sex scenes. I just didn't enjoy it. Really didn't enjoy it. I found it a bit weird. And then I got to the end of that and I just thought, I'm not reading it. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm not enjoying it. It's obviously not for me. I'm not this book's target audience. So I moved on. Macaulay, who I did the buddy read with, did continue the book and finish it. And he said that the third story, which I believe follows a parent of sorts, was really moving. So I did say at some point I might go back and read the third story because I love any stories that are kind of about parents and sacrifice and yeah, so who knows? I might go back and read that, but it just didn't deliver for me. Then the other book that really comes to mind when I think about books that didn't hit was Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. I went into this, so I really like Harry Potter. Growing up, that was the story that made me fall in love with reading. I've not really touched much on Harry Potter fanfic, but Alchemized, before it became Alchemized, was called Manacled, and it was a Draco Hermione fan fiction story that was humongous. The Hermione fanfic world love it. It's like the holy grail of literature for them. And it got that popular that the author was then picked up and they released Alchemized, which is kind of like an adapted version of the original. So I went into it expecting epic fantasy. I didn't really know, and it's probably my fault because I didn't do much research. I expected epic fantasy, but I also expected a bit of a love story. Now, the first 500 pages at least, because that's when I DNF'd it, was very much just about human nature, and it was about healing, it was about trauma, it was about how we are affected by traumatic events and abuse. Some really, really dark themes. And I just felt like I just got a bit bored. There's a war in the background of this story, and I just wanted that war to come to the forefront of the story and, you know, just give me some battle scenes, some action scenes, whereas the actual war itself was more just described in the background. You'd be told that something had happened and this was the consequence of said thing, but I didn't actually see the battles or anything like that. And for the first 500 pages, all I was really seeing was this girl who'd been captured by the enemy and who was being tortured and abused, psychologically abused and physically abused and tortured. And I didn't enjoy it. So I closed it at about 500 pages in. I do appreciate what the author did, and I will say that I think the author did a good job of highlighting, you know, the consequences of abuse and also the kind of depths of evil that humans can go to when you take away all consequences and all laws. It was an interesting, thought-provoking book, but it just didn't grab me enough to keep me going. I didn't finish it, and I don't think I'll ever go back. I gave it away to my local library, actually, after I'd finished it. But if you're interested in just humans and how we act and how dark we can be, I think that's definitely a book that you probably want to read. But please, please, please check trigger warnings for that book. I think they're at the back of the book. Check them before you go into it, because there's some really dark stuff that happens in there. Next up, the recent book, actually, I read this one recently, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte something or other. It'll be here somewhere, so you'll see what her name is. This was picked up because I'd seen a few people that I trust recommend it, and I fancied a bit of a gap from fantasy. I'd been reading loads of fantasy, and I thought I'd fancy something different, so I'll pick that up. Now, the story follows a girl who's washed up on shore of this island that this family lives on that you're following. Firstly, the positives. I think the author does an absolutely unbelievable job of setting the scene and actually building a world, which is usually unheard of in thriller books, but it was very atmospheric and you could really feel like what it'd be like to live on this island. Quite a treacherous setting, a lot of, like, not necessarily global warming issues, but I could see that that was the way that it was going. There's a lot of themes of kind of like wildlife and global warming and the impacts that humans can have and the governments can have on the world. And I think that is what kind of stopped me from reading it, was just that I'm not particularly interested in wildlife or the environment. Call me selfish, I know that I should be, but I'm just not that interested in reading about it. I try and do the best that I can regarding my carbon footprint, but I just don't want to sit and read about the environment and stuff like that. It just doesn't, I've got quite a short attention span and it don't grab me enough. So the story itself, I will say, was quite interesting. You're following this family who appear to have lots of secrets. The dad, quite early on, seems to have a lot of secrets, and they are kind of insinuated that there might be quite dark secrets. And I would guess that this story is just going to follow who this girl is and how she's washed up on shore, because there is no island anywhere near them. They were basically saying, like, she can't have got here. She must have fell off a boat or something and got here, because there's just no way she'd have made it here. And yeah, it just didn't grab me. So I DNF'd it about 100 and some pages in, and I won't be trying it again. And then the last one that disappointed me was Hell House by Richard Matheson. This was when I decided that I was going to start trying to read a bit more horror, and loads of people had recommended that to me, and it just appeared to be a creepy ghost story, and the ghosts were a bit horny and pervy. Just didn't enjoy it, so I didn't finish it. Don't know how it ended. Might be a marvellous book, but I just don't really want to read about horny ghosts. So they were the books that didn't really hit as well as I'd hoped in 2025. And now we're going to talk about the books that bloody did. I obviously, as I said, read 62 books this year. A lot of them hit really well. Look, 4.2 average score says that I rated a lot of them highly, but these were the ones that I remember really, really enjoying, and the ones that I just want to kind of pipe on about to you for the next 10, 15 minutes, however long this takes. Let me just have another sip. Oh, it's just gone past it. It's not quite iced coffee, but it's a bit colder than I like. Right, let's talk about the physical books that I've got in front of me first, because, as you know, I struggle with shelf space in this house, so 9 times out of 10, it breaks my heart I have to do it. When I finish a book, I have to give it away to charity or my library, because I just haven't got room to keep it. Otherwise, I'd never be able to bring new books into the house. So a lot of the books that I've loved, I've given away because I just haven't got room for them. So I'll put pictures up if you want to go online and have a look and buy them. Do what you want. It's up to you, your choice. So the book that I've most recently finished that I bloody loved, whoever recommended this to me in one of my recent videos, fucking legend. Honestly, I could not believe how refreshing this book was. So this is called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. I'd never heard of this author before. I've never read anything by this author. Since I've read this and said that I loved it, a lot of people have messaged me and said you need to read Tuesdays with Maury. So I am aware that that's meant to be just as good. This story follows an 82-year-old man, I think he is, who works on a fairground and has basically been maintenance there for most of his life after he got discharged from the military. And he has an accident and dies and then goes to heaven. But he's like in this in-between where he doesn't quite want to go to heaven. He's not ready. He wants to go back to his normal life. And he is introduced to 5 people whose lives he affected in one way or another. And it's just 5 simple conversations with these people who are explaining to him how he affected their life. And this story is just about a man who's struggling with his self-worth. He feels like his life was wasted. It's so hard for me to tell you what this story is about without giving any spoilers. But what I can tell you is when I closed this book, I just had a breath. And I just sat there and I thought for like 10, 15 minutes. And I just thought, like, wow. It just reminded me that we can spend so much time regretting stuff that we can't change. We spend so much time constantly comparing ourselves to other people and what society tells us or deems as successful, that if we just kind of took a step back and realised that small actions can make a big difference. You know, if every single day we just try and make positive choices and we try and be kind and we just try and affect people's lives in positive ways, that hopefully when we get older we can look back on that and live with no regrets. It was just remarkable. Honestly, I would say if you are struggling with kind of anything in life, but especially if you are struggling with self-worth and feeling like a failure, feeling like you're not enough and you don't do enough and you're not successful enough, I honestly think that you could take a lot from this book. Marvellous. Honestly, thank you, whoever recommended that. That one, really, really, it was so refreshing as well because it was different to what I'd been reading recently. Oh, you want to come in here? Come here then. Sky wants to say hello. Next up, I best show you what books I've got next to me. Can I just get these books, Bab? Because these people, I know they want to see you as well, but yeah, they want to talk. They want to listen about books, if that's all right. All right, you stay here for a bit. This was probably my favourite book of 2025. I find it hard because it's all down to mood. Whatever mood I'm in, you grunting at? Whatever mood I'm in will dictate what book I tell you is my favourite. But The Blade itself by Jarba Crombie is the one that I always come back to. And I find it weird that this was my favourite book of 2025 because when it comes to plot, not much actually happens in the First Law trilogy, which is this book and the 2 books that follow it. But I just felt a certain type of way towards the characters in this book that I don't think I've felt in any other books in 2025. Logan Ninefingers and Sandan Glokta just grabbed me from the first page. I could not help but get excited every single time I got to a new chapter and saw it in one of their chapters. The humour, the realness of this story, everything about it, like the battle scenes were just so real. The characters and the decisions that they made were so real, whether they were right or wrong. There's even a little bit of sex in this series as well. And even the sex scenes were just very honest and real, and it wasn't kind of made to look sexy. You know, this is a war in like a really harsh environment, and they weren't trying to make it seem like it was something it wasn't. I got to the end of these 3 books, and it was just one of them series that I thought, I am so glad that I was introduced to that in my life, and that when I die, I can look back and be like, this is just one of them series that I'm glad, really, really glad that I read. I will say, as always, if you're going to pick that up, don't be expecting a happy time. It's not a happy time. It's not a happy world. These characters that you're following are morally questionable at best. They often don't make the right choices. The consequences of the choices that they make are usually pretty morbid, but it just felt very real. It's a dark world, and these people have been raised in that world and are just a product of the environment that they've been raised in. But I do definitely recommend it. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I am currently 2/3 of the way through book 3 in this series. This is also a series that's really took me by surprise in 2025. A bit different, so I would say this world is bleak, but not quite as bleak as the First Law trilogy. So this follows a character called Gabriel de Leon, who is a half vampire slayer, who is just going around kicking ass, just absolutely smacking vampires in the face and just being like, what you can do about it. It's really, really good. It's day's death, so the sun no longer shines and vampires can reign free, and you find out right at the start of the book that actually Gabriel de Leon, this badass vampire slayer, has killed the hardest vampire to ever live, and he's been interrogated throughout all 3 books about how he did it. So you're just getting told his story and introduced to, again, a lot of morally questionable characters, some really funny moments, some brilliant dialogue, some beautiful writing, and it's just one of them books that when I sat down this morning and thought, what were the best books that I've read in 2025, that was one of the first books that came to my mind. Right, have I got any more physical ones? I don't think I've got any more physical ones, so I've wrote a list down of other books that I've had to give away. Mr. Mercedes, which is book 1 in the Bill Hodges trilogy by Stephen King. That series really took me by surprise because... oh, cold coffee. That was actually cold as well. Shouldn't be a thing. I didn't really enjoy any other Stephen King books I'd read in past. I thought he were waffly, he went on and on and on. He talked about children's private parts. I was like, you creepy weirdo, what are you doing? Bill Hodges series were like nothing I'd read before by him. Fast-paced, police procedural. Really, really enjoyed it. I liked Bill Hodges, liked Jerome. I liked Holly Gibney. The serial killer, psychopath, mental bloke that you're following in it. Absolutely batshit crazy, mental. It just gave me everything I wanted and delivered tenfold, and I'm excited to get into book 2. Don't know what it's called, Finders Keepers or Ender Watch, one of them. I've got them upstairs anyway, so at some point I'm going to pick them up. One of the series that I'm really, really happy about being introduced to in 2025 is the Joe Pickett series by CJ Box. I've only read Open Season and Savage Run, which is book 1 and book 2 in the Joe Pickett series, and I bloody loved them both. I'm not American, I'm very British. I'm not interested in wildlife or what it's like to be a game warden, but CJ Box has kind of forced that upon me. I can't help but love these books. You are just following a game warden in Wyoming in America who's just dealing with things that game wardens deal with, and then someone will die and he's going to get involved because he's a bit of a nosy bastard. So he gets involved with local police and tries to solve crimes and stuff. And then in background, you've just got a lot of information that it gives you about wildlife, about hunting, about different kind of regulations that I didn't think I cared about, but I can't help but enjoy reading about it. Really weird. It's almost like my new comfort read. And I think at least in England, they're all on Kindle Unlimited. My granddad actually got me into that. He said you should read it. And I just thought, I don't think I'll be interested in that because it's nothing in the whole story piques my interest when someone says to me like, oh, are you interested in hunting? No. Are you interested in wildlife? No. Pick up this book. Oh, okay. Read it. Bloody hell, that were good. What more can I tell you? Just read Open Season, book 1. I will say that I think one of the things that grabs me with that series is the way that CJ Box writes family dynamics. The family that it follows with Mary Beth and the children and Joe Pickett is just good. It just feels like a real family, and you can't help but want to continue to just see how they as a family grow. And I kind of want them to win lottery. So I'm just hoping that they'll win lottery and then they can all retire and live happily ever after. Really enjoy that series. You should read it. The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I've read book 1 and 2 in that series. The Burning series, I think it's called. Book 3 is due out in 2026. Whether it comes out in 2026, who knows. But it was bloody marvellous. That is a vengeance story about a man called Tao who basically has everything taken away from him right at the start of book 1. And then he goes on this mad revenge mission for the next 2 books. Absolutely kicking ass. It's African inspired. The author is an author of colour. So I believe he lives in America, but I believe he spent some time out in Africa. And I just like reading different things. You know, I've never read African-inspired fantasy before, and I liked it. I liked the different garments that they wore. I liked the different cultures that were kind of within the story. I liked some of the weaponry that they used. I found it very different. The magic system was really good. It is a magic system where women are really powerful and they yield magic to men. So basically, without women giving men magic, the men can't do anything. So they have to work together in cohesion to be the best that they can be. Really, really good. It's one of them that you're going to want to just dive into without me giving you too much plot. But from start to finish, I would say it's one of the fastest paced fantasy books that I've ever read. It just does not let up. It's always 100 miles an hour. So if you've got a short attention span, The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter is one that I think you'll enjoy. One More Last Time, which is book 1 in The Good Guys by Eric Ugland, is a lit RPG, similar to Dungeon Crawler Call. Dude wakes up on a mountain. Where am I? Oh, I'm in a fantasy world. Oh, I'm weak, I'm crap, I need to get stronger. Goes around fighting things, levels up, gets new loot, new armour. Progressive fantasy, really, really good. The first chapter will just have your belly chuckling. And it just felt a little bit more light-hearted than Dungeon Crawler Call. Really easy to read. The battle scenes were really well written. And I just thoroughly enjoyed that. So if you are interested in lit RPG, and maybe if you've not tried Dungeon Crawler Call, I think I would say that The Good Guys by Eric Ugland is probably a little bit easier to read. And the books are really short as well. Just for the Summer, the first romance that we've included in this video, or actually anything by Abby Jimenez, I just find them to be lovely reads. The themes aren't always lovely. It does cover some things like neglect and abuse, but generally, when you get to the end of these stories, you're going to get your happy ending. You're going to get your kind of nice, warm, fuzzy feelings, like I want from a romance book. I want to come away from a romance book feeling happy and feeling like, you know, I can just hug my wife and be like, oh, isn't it cute? Like, aren't we cute? So anything by Abby Jimenez, just absolutely marvellous. I just remember, what are you taking over the show for? This is not bookish dog reads, is it? Anyway, Abby Jimenez books, absolutely brilliant. Just for the Summer, Part of Your World and Yours Truly are all set in the same world. They're kind of interlinked. The characters are all within each book, but each book will follow 2 characters, if that makes any sense to you. Oh, now she's kicking off. Now she's sitting on me. All right, you just sit there, yeah? You do you, boo-boo. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. That was another book that I really enjoyed in 2025. I'm an ex-gamer. I say ex because my wife basically told me I was spending too much time gaming and I needed to be a dad. So I was like, all right, fair. I'll sell me video games then and I'll just be a parent and give up everything that I enjoy doing. I don't have any hobbies now other than reading books. But it just reminded me why I love gaming. It's a story that follows a young boy who is given the opportunity to enter this competition to go into this virtual world and try and find these Easter eggs. And if he can find these Easter eggs, he basically gets billions of pounds that have been left by the creator of this game, because he's dead. And everyone, basically in America, might be even in the world, are trying to crack these Easter eggs to win all this money. So you got this young lad on his own against all these corporations trying to win all this money. People obviously going to try and get him. There's loads of humour, a lot of kind of game-related content, and I just found it really, really fun. I came away from that book just feeling like, that's how it made me feel. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I loved that book. Really, really enjoyed it. And I think after I'd done my review of it, some people were like, I'm not sure. I didn't really... It's low stakes, you know. There is a murder and there is like investigation and stuff, but it's just done a bit different and it feels lower stakes than some of the other police procedurals that I read. But I think what I enjoyed about it is this story follows a girl who is trying to investigate the death of one of her friends that was deemed as a suicide, and she doesn't believe that it was. But throughout the story, she's doing like a college assignment, and you get the actual college assignment pages and stuff within the book. And I just thought it was a really cool take on a murder mystery, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So if you want a nice, easy murder mystery to read, Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, definitely recommend that. What we got next? The last one I've got here is Black Summer by M.W. Craven. I specifically wrote Black Summer because I remember that being my favourite book in the series so far. I've not read them all, I'm not up to date, but I will catch up at some point. I just remember at the start of that book there was a chapter where they were sat in a restaurant and there was a description of, like, I can't remember if it was a description of how the food was made or how they were eating the food, and I was just like, wow, that is fantastic writing. But then it continues with typical M.W. Craven style, with brilliant relationships between Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw, who are the main protagonists in this police procedural set in England. Short chapters, really engaging, really addictive. If you are into police procedural, murder mystery kind of things and you haven't tried M.W. Craven's Washington Poe series, what are you doing? You need to pick it up. Honestly, it's fantastic. Book 1 is The Puppet Show, and I think book 2 is Black Summer, the one that I've just mentioned. I think I read book 1 in 2024 though, which is why it's not on this list. So they are all the books that I really, really enjoyed. And now we're going to talk about plans for next year. This is going to be short, this one, because I've got 3 that I've wrote down here. No, 2 that I've wrote down there, and then a few on floor. So I think next year I'm still going to be reading fantasy, because I have really, really enjoyed my journey into fantasy in like 2024, 2025. But I also want to make sure that I'm still diversifying, because I really, really love crime. I've started to enjoy general fiction a bit more. I like the odd romance. So my plan is to try and keep diversifying. But these are my priorities. So Iron Gold, which is book 4 in the Red Rising world, it's not necessarily book 4 in a series, because the first 3 can be read as their own standalone. Then I believe Iron Gold is set in the future, but with the same characters, maybe when they're a little bit older. So this is high on my priority list. I do want to try a bit more sci-fi in 2026, but I don't want to kind of dive into any more epic sci-fi until I've finished Red Rising. And then I might I might then consider the Sun Eater series by Christopher... begins with a R, his surname. Anyway, you know what I'm on about if you've read it. So that's high on the priority list. I'm looking forward to seeing if Darrow's in this book as well, because I don't know if it follows like their kids or them, the characters that were in first books. And then I am desperate to continue with the First Law world. The First Law trilogy is 3 books, but I think there's like 10 books in total in this world. This is Best Served Cold, which is a standalone. So you've got the First Law trilogy, which is 3 books. You've then got 3 separate standalones, and then after you've read the 3 separate standalones that'll follow different people in this world, you've then got the Age of Madness trilogy, which I believe follows the children of the characters that were in the first 3 books. So I really just want to continue this. Hopefully, from what I was telling you about the First Law trilogy earlier on, you'll realise how much I loved it. But because I post content, I feel like I have to kind of mix up what I'm reading. If I was just to read the First Law books, one after another, the only people that watch my videos are people that are interested in First Law books. So it does mean that sometimes I'm forced to kind of come away from books that I really enjoy, just to try and keep content a little bit fresh. So Best Served Cold is definitely going to be a priority, and likely the next 3 standalones I'm going to try and get done in the first quarter of 2026. I might do them in January, February, March, just read a standalone each month, to give me what I want, but also try and keep the content a little bit refreshing and mix it all up. So I've got different stuff to talk to you all about. We have then got series that I haven't started yet. So the next books I'm going to show you are series that I haven't started. I'm trying my best not to keep starting new series, because I am in between less than 10, but I'm in between enough series to keep me going. So I want to try and finish the series that I am involved in before I start any more, but these are just a few that I will be starting in 2026. The first one being Malice, which is, but what, Sky, you're trying to take up a show, mate. So it's not all about you. You've dropped my coffee on the floor. Oh no. there's an emergency. She dropped my coffee on the floor and it's gone all over my books. I'm so calm. That is because of, what's the book called? The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. It's changed me. Anyway, Malice. So this is book 1 in the Faithful and the Fallen. Oh, coffee all over the back of this book. Faithful and the Fallen. And I absolutely bloody loved the Bloodsworn saga, Bloodsworn trilogy, whatever you want to call it. The Shadow of the Gods, Hunger of the Gods, and some of the gods. Gods everywhere. They were so fast-paced, so engaging. Battle scenes were absolutely ridiculous. Characters were unbelievable. One of my favourite female characters of all times in Orca. She's badass. She's actually one of my favourite characters in general. I usually find that when men write women, they're just not as good as when women write women, because obviously we are forever trying to understand women. I've been with my wife 8 years and I still don't understand her fully. But I think John Gwynne just does a brilliant job of writing women. And bloody hell, Orca. Just read, if you're unsure where to start with John Gwynne, read Shadow of the Gods. And if you enjoy Shadow of the Gods, which is book 1 in the Bloodsworn trilogy, then continue. If you don't enjoy Shadow of the Gods, I don't think you're going to like his work. But chuffing hell, Orca's good. She's class. This is a separate series. I think there's 4 books in it. It follows a different set of characters, still Norse-inspired. I am fully expecting fast-paced, epic battles, very cinematic, with really strong characters. Annie, who is a girl that I trust with my whole heart, gives me recommendations, also tells me that there are some wicked women in this book as well. So if you are interested in strong women in books, John Gwynne's your boy. He does very good. I should really wipe this coffee up, but I'm just going to, when it end. Next series that I really want to try is James Logan's The Last Legacy. The book 1 is called The Silver Blood Promise. This one, I got this from Waterstones recently, and the reason I wanted to pick this up is because I kept seeing people comparing it to The Lies of Loch Lamora, and The Lies of Loch Lamora is one of my favourite fantasy series of all times. I just find it so fun. It's not epic fantasy, you know, it's not like a vast scale with epic battles and things like that. The Lies of Loch Lamora is just about a group of young kids who are kind of just misfits in society. They don't really belong anywhere, but they find family within each other, and they go around just causing mayhem. They are little thieves that go around just playing tricks on people and robbing stuff, and it's in this like Venetian city. I just can't help but love it. Everything about that book just makes my heart warm, and the relationship in that book, I'm talking more about Lies of Loch Lamora than I am this James Logan book, but the relationship between Locke and Jean in that book is just probably the best relationship I've read in fiction. And anyway, I saw a lot of people saying that this feels very similar. It feels like Lies of Loch Lamora-y. It's set in a city with some nice characters that you're going to love, and I don't know if the thieves are anything like that, but I've not even read back. I'm so easily influenced. I go onto Reddit and someone will say, oh, you need to read this if you like Lies of Loch Lamora, and I'll be like, okay, I'll buy it. So I did, bought it, but I'm really excited to read that. And then what else have we got? We've got Iron Gold, we've done. Have we done? Oh no, I've got more down here. Ascendant. Songs of Chaos, Book 1 by Michael R. Miller. I want to try and read a bit more indie work this year, independently published work, and I believe this was indie. I don't know if it still is or if it's been picked up, but it's about Blind Dragon. Oi, Blind Dragons. Who else writes Blind Dragons? No one, just Michael. So I want to read this, part of a series. Everyone that I know that's read it said it's bloody brilliant. So again, I'm easily influenced. I also want to read Nevernight by Jay Kristoff because I've enjoyed Empire of the Vampire so much, and a lot of people have messaged me and said you need to read Nevernight. This is his other series that he did before it, which is about I think her name is she's a 10-year-old assassin called Mia Corverve. So it says Mia Corverve is only 10 years old when she is given her first lesson in death. Destined to destroy empires, the child, blah, 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 blah. Basically a 10-year-old assassin, and then she's going to get older, obviously, and start killing people. But I already know now from Empire of the Vampire that I just like Jay Kristoff's work. I like how he writes, I like his characters, I like the world he builds. So at some point in 2026, I am going to read the Nevernight series. I've got books 2 and 3 upstairs. And then the last book that I put down here that I can't appear to find I'm not going to carry on looking for it then. But there was another one. I just can't remember what it was. Oh, Harry Bosch series. Oh, there's another one as well. So, Harry Bosch series. I've not read any Michael Connelly before. I've had the Harry Bosch upstairs for so long, but I love police procedurals. And I think it's almost like every single person that I say, like, what's your favourite? I'm exaggerating, obviously. But a lot of people, when I say what's your favourite series, they're like, you need to read the Harry Bosch series by Michael Connelly. So I'm like, okay. But I think because everyone says that's one of the best ever, I just don't want to be disappointed. So I've put it off for so long. But I'm going to stop putting it off in 2026. I'm going to read the Harry Bosch series. Not all of it, because I think there's like 20 stupid books there. But I'm going to read some of it and decide if I like it. And I also want to read or start The Bone Collector by Jeffrey Deaver. I know that's quite a popular one. And I saw book one in Waterstones the other day and nearly picked it up, but I just didn't because I resisted. And my wife was so proud of me. She said, I can't believe you've been into Waterstones and come out without a book. And I was like, yeah, but it's Christmas in a couple of weeks, isn't it? So let's just wait to see what Santa brings. So that's some of what I want to read. There's loads of other stuff I want to read as well in 2026, but my videos can only go on for so long before you get bored. Big up to my jumper that I've got on today. My wife bought it me from Primark the other day, and she says, I've got you a jumper. So I put it on, I said, oh, that's right good. And then I looked at it upside down, and I said, oh, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger from Jingle All the Way. She says, no, it's not, it's George Michael. I said, really? It really looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Jingle All the Way. Don't know what it looks like on camera, but to me it did. And then I realised it says George Michael at the top. Not a George Michael fan, but well, I've got this on, I'll sing it. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. What's the other one that he sang? We could be here all day me thinking of that. That's it, I think we're done. That's everything I need to speak to you about today. I hope you've had an amazing 2025, and I hope you continue to have a good last couple of weeks. I will speak to you before Christmas and stuff, but I'd be quite interested to know what your favourite books were of 2025. So if you have watched till this point, as always, I love you the most, but to prove you've watched till this point, I want you to bang down in comments and tell me what you